Liz Cambage quits mid-season, then blames the culture. In 2022, Liz Cambage was supposed to be the missing piece for the LA Sparks. She was a former All-Star, a dominant force in the paint, and a high-profile signing in a league desperate for star power in major markets. Then came the twist. Mid-season, she walked away from the team, just left. No formal retirement, no lengthy statement, just a vague exit citing the environment and culture no longer being right for her. Fans were stunned. This wasn't an aging vet calling it a career. Cambage was in her prime. And she didn't just exit the team, she disappeared from the WNBA entirely. Then it got messier. Reports leaked about locker room tension, clashes with teammates, and alleged racist trash talk during international play. Cambage denied most of it, but the damage was done. The Sparks cut ties and the league moved on without her. The real twist? After years of being marketed as one of the most unique stars in the WNBA, Cambage ended up torching every bridge. A career that should have been remembered for dominance is now remembered for drama. Sheryl Swoopes goes bankrupt after a Nike deal and MVPs. She was the face of the WNBA when it launched. The first player signed to the league, a 3-time MVP, a Nike signature shoe, championships, legacy. Then, plot twist, bankruptcy. In 2004, Sheryl Swoopes filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy, listing over $700,000 in debt. It stunned fans. How could the Sheryl Swoopes, the woman who defined the league's launch, end up in financial ruin? The answer? Poor financial advice, overspending, and the same trap so many athletes fall into, living like a millionaire with 5-figure checks. Reports said she had multiple mortgages, back taxes, and business losses. It was a gut punch to the league's image. One of its icons broke publicly, and it opened conversations about how the WNBA's pay structure, even for top-tier stars, wasn't built to secure long-term wealth. The league moved on. Swoopes recovered, but her story still lingers like a warning sign. Fame and legacy don't always mean security. The Sky Fire, their coach, weeks after winning it all. James Wade made history with the Chicago Sky. He helped bring a championship to a franchise that had spent years trying to get over the hump. With Candace Parker leading the way, 2021 was the year. Then, plot twist. Just 2 years later, Wade left mid-season to take an NBA job, a scouting role with the Raptors. Fans were confused. Why walk away from a contender? Why abandon ship with the Sky in playoff position? And a scouting job? The twist unraveled quickly. Wade had reportedly clashed with players, struggled with roster building, and lost the locker room. His departure, framed as a career step, felt more like an escape hatch. Even Candace Parker, the franchise's biggest signing, quietly walked in free agency. The team crumbled almost immediately after Wade's exit, from hero to ghost, from championship glory to sudden disappearance. The Sky's story was riding high and then shattered faster than anyone expected. Caitlin Clark falls to #2 in the draft. Just kidding. Everyone knew Caitlin Clark was going #1 in the 2024 WNBA draft. Everyone. Her college dominance, her TV ratings, her long-range shots from the logo, she was the moment. The Indiana Fever had the pick. It was locked. Until draft day drama sparked a wild rumor. The Fever were considering passing on her. Social media exploded. Mock drafts were redrawn. Pundits debated if she fit the team's system. Headlines speculated about team chemistry, locker room ego balance, and whether another guard like Paige Buchers, who was actually not even eligible that year, could be a better culture fit. It didn't happen. Clark went #1. But the fact that the noise got that loud, that close to draft day, made people wonder if Indiana was truly ready for the media storm she'd bring. The twist wasn't that she fell in the draft, it's that the WNBA world flinched, for just a second, at the most obvious draft pick in years. Maya Moore retires to fight for a stranger's freedom. Maya Moore was that player, 4-time champion, MVP, Olympic gold, one of the greatest to ever touch a WNBA court. And then, at the peak of her power, she walked away. Not for injury, not for scandal, but to fight the justice system. In 2019, Moore stepped away from basketball to advocate for Jonathan Irons, a man wrongfully convicted of burglary and assault. She believed in his innocence so much, she made it her full-time mission. And in 2020, after years of work, he was freed. Then the twist inside the twist, Moore and Irons got married. She never returned to the WNBA. Fans were in awe. The ultimate competitor gave up the game for love, justice, and a cause bigger than trophies. Her legacy now stretches far beyond basketball. Tina Charles leaves mid-season twice. Tina Charles was a former MVP, a double-double machine, a future Hall of Famer. But in the 2022 season, she pulled off a rare WNBA plot twist. She bailed on her team twice. She started the season with the Phoenix Mercury, expected to be a contender, but by mid-season, she and the team agreed to a contract divorce. She left. Just left. Most thought she'd sit the rest of the season out. Nope. Days later, she signed with the Seattle Storm, a rival. It was a cold, calculated move. Ring chasing? Maybe. But it felt like a pro-athlete power play rarely seen in the W. The twist? It backfired. The Storm didn't win the title. Charles didn't look like her old self, and the whole saga painted her as more mercenary than leader. She eventually faded from the spotlight, one of the W's best bigs, who ended her career with the quietest of exits after one of the loudest mid-season moves ever. Candace Parker benched in the playoffs by her own coach. It was the 2019 WNBA playoffs. The Los Angeles Sparks had Candace Parker, one of the most decorated, dynamic, and dominant players the league had ever seen. And in the biggest moment of the season, Coach Derek Fisher benched her. Not for a few minutes, for nearly the entire second half of a do-or-die playoff game. Fans were stunned. Analysts were speechless. Social media imploded. The Sparks lost badly, and Fisher's decision became one of the most questioned coaching moves in WNBA history. Was it ego, a message, mistrust? Theories flew. Candace kept it classy in public, but her departure from LA the following year spoke louder than words. She joined Chicago, won a title, proved she still had it. The twist wasn't just that a coach benched a legend, it's that it may have pushed her out and helped her win somewhere else. The Washington Mystics win it all, then vanish. In 2019, the Washington Mystics put on a clinic. Elena Delle Donne played with a broken back and still won MVP. Emma Meesseman became the finals MVP. The offense was historic. The title was earned. And then, poof, gone. The Mystics haven't sniffed another title since. Injuries ravaged the roster. The pandemic shortened and reshaped seasons. Delle Donne missed huge chunks of time. Meesseman left. The core that looked like a dynasty disappeared. For fans, the twist wasn't that they won. It's that they never defended the throne. A team that looked built to rule the 2020s fizzled out before the parade confetti even settled. Skylar Diggins-Smith's silent exit. Skylar Diggins-Smith is a superstar, charismatic, clutch, outspoken. But in 2023, something weird happened. She vanished. The Mercury didn't announce her absence. There was no formal leave, just silence. She wasn't at games, didn't practice. Rumors swirled. Eventually, Diggins-Smith posted cryptic messages on social media, saying the team had barred her from using the practice facility after giving birth. She accused the organization of treating her coldly during postpartum recovery. Fans were shocked. A team alienating its star player over motherhood? She didn't play a single game that season. Her contract ended quietly. And just like that, one of the league's top guards was teamless, unheard from, and left out of the spotlight, all while still in her prime. The twist? It wasn't injury or performance. It was the cost of speaking up, and maybe the W's most under-discussed disappearance. Courtney Vandersloot becomes a super team villain. For years, Courtney Vandersloot was the heart of the Chicago Sky, a pass-first point guard with eyes in the back of her head and a championship ring to prove it. She was loyal, classy, beloved. Then came 2023. Suddenly, Vandersloot left Chicago, not for a rebuild, not for family, but to join the New York Liberty, alongside Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquel Jones. Fans were stunned. Vandersloot? Part of a super team? She went from underdog hero to Big Apple powerhouse, seemingly overnight. For some Chicago fans, it felt like betrayal. For WNBA watchers, it marked the beginning of a new era. Stars stacking instead of staying. The twist? The league's most selfless passer became a symbol of the new power dynamic, a player chasing legacy in a very different way. Seattle drafts Jewel Lloyd after already taking Kelsey Plum. Back in 2015, a bizarre story made rounds in women's basketball circles. Kelsey Plum, then college royalty, claimed that Seattle had already told her they were going to draft her. Except, they didn't. They took Jewel Lloyd instead. The twist? Plum wasn't even draft eligible. She was still in school. So why was the franchise giving her assurances? The theory goes that Lloyd declared early to prevent a possible Plum selection. Lloyd, seeing the writing on the wall, entered the draft and grabbed the top spot. Plum would go #1 the following year to San Antonio. But the weird overlap, conflicting statements, and Lloyd's last-minute jump created a WNBA what-if that still sparks debate. The Storm don't regret it. Lloyd's a Finals MVP now, but the draft day drama? Total chaos. And for a league that usually runs clean, it was one of the strangest draft day mysteries ever. Diana Taurasi gets a teammate suspended, then wins gold with her. During the 2021 Olympics, Diana Taurasi and Skylar Diggins-Smith were teammates for Team USA. But back home in Phoenix, tensions were boiling. According to multiple reports, Taurasi wasn't just unhappy. She allegedly pushed to get teammate Megan Gustafson waived during training camp. Then, weeks later, that same player ended up back on the Mercury roster. The twist? They all had to coexist, on national TV, chasing a title. Taurasi's legendary fire made her a fan favorite, but stories like these revealed the messy underside of locker room dynamics. Power players make power moves, and in Phoenix, that power always pointed back to Diana. The real shock came when, after all the whispers, Taurasi and Diggins still balled out for Team USA. Drama? What drama? It was a plot twist straight out of reality TV, except no one could write it better. Chiney Ogwumike chooses ESPN over basketball, then comes back. When Chiney Ogwumike missed multiple WNBA seasons due to injury, most assumed she was done. She'd landed a high-profile job at ESPN, made history as a black woman anchoring national sports shows, and built a whole new audience. But then, she came back. Despite thriving on camera, Chiney returned to the Sparks in 2021, and while she wasn't the same all-star she'd been in Connecticut, the decision raised eyebrows. Why give up a polished media career for the grind of a mid-tier WNBA season? Some saw it as a flex, proof that she could do both. Others questioned whether she was still committed to the game. Either way, the twist wasn't just her return. It was that a player could juggle both stardom and second chances without ever choosing one lane. A WNBA game got delayed because of a presidential bomb threat. No joke, this actually happened. In 2017, the Indiana Fever were set to play the Washington Mystics at the Verizon Center. But just before tip-off, the arena was evacuated. Why? A suspicious package had been found, one meant for Vice President Mike Pence. Suddenly, a regular season WNBA game turned into a national security lockdown. Fans were stunned, players were stunned, and the media didn't know what to do with it. The game was eventually played. But the surreal nature of the situation, bomb squads, Secret Service, and pro athletes waiting in the tunnel, made it feel like fiction. It wasn't. It was one of the weirdest days in WNBA history. And for once, it had nothing to do with basketball. Tamika Catchings becomes a GM and gets caught in a disaster. Tamika Catchings is WNBA royalty, MVP, champion, icon. So when she took over as GM of the Indiana Fever in 2019, fans were excited. She was supposed to lead a rebuild, restore the franchise, and pass on her legacy. Instead, it fell apart. Her draft picks didn't pan out. Lauren Cox, the #3 pick, was waived in less than 2 years. Kizri Gondrezic, taken 4th overall, mysteriously left the team and later spoke publicly about her struggles. The Fever's win total barely moved. By 2022, Catchings had quietly stepped away from the GM role. The twist? Her playing legacy never prepared fans for this. Not every superstar becomes a front office star, and watching a legend fail at building a team was a bitter pill, one that still stings in Indiana. The New York Liberty were nearly kicked out of the league. It started with charter flights. In 2021, Liberty ownership began secretly flying the team on private jets, violating WNBA policy, which was supposed to keep competitive balance across teams. The league found out, and according to Sports Illustrated, the punishment on the table wasn't just a fine, it was termination. The Liberty were reportedly threatened with being kicked out of the WNBA altogether. Fans were stunned. How could better treatment for players lead to league threats? The twist here wasn't the violation, it was the reaction. Instead of celebrating investment, the league cracked down. It sparked a national debate on fairness, resources, and how far a team can go before they become too progressive for their own good. Becky Hammon leaves the NBA and wins a WNBA championship. For years, Becky Hammon was seen as the NBA's first female head coach in waiting. She worked under Greg Popovich, interviewed for top jobs, and seemed destined to break barriers. Then, she walked. In 2022, Hammon left the NBA coaching track to take over the Las Vegas Aces. Critics saw it as a step back. Some even called it settling. Then she won a title. The plot twist? Hammon wasn't waiting for history to be handed to her. She was out making it. The move that looked like a demotion turned into domination. Her Aces became a powerhouse, and her coaching legacy grew bigger than any assistant title ever could. The time the entire Las Vegas Aces team faked a plane delay. In 2022, the Las Vegas Aces were supposed to play a crucial game in Washington, but they never showed up. The reason? A travel delay. That's what the league was told. But rumors immediately started flying. Players were posting selfies from the hotel. Reporters hinted the team was already in DC long before the game. The truth? The Aces were exhausted, multiple time zone shifts, back-to-backs, charter flight denial. So instead of suiting up, they made a choice: health over hustle. The twist? It was unofficial load management wrapped in a travel excuse. The league didn't suspend them, but fans never forgot. For one night, a whole team just opted out. The WNBA suspended a player for domestic abuse before the NBA did. In 2015, Brittany Griner and Glory Johnson were arrested after a domestic incident. Both were top players. Both were engaged. Both were expected to be all-stars that season. What happened next? The WNBA dropped a 6-game suspension, the longest in league history at the time. The twist? This was before the NBA had done anything similar. Long before Miles Bridges or others made headlines, the WNBA actually set the precedent. Griner and Johnson still played that season, but the incident cast a shadow. The suspensions were swift and controversial, and it showed that the league could be firm, even when it meant disciplining its own stars. The star who played pregnant without telling anyone, Skylar Diggins-Smith. In 2019, Skylar Diggins-Smith stunned the basketball world, not with her game, but with what she revealed after the season. She had played the entire year pregnant. No announcement, no break, just silent sacrifice. The twist? Not only did she log minutes while carrying, she later said she received zero support from her team during the process. No check-ins, no accommodations, nothing. The backlash was immediate. Fans, players, and media rallied behind her. And her team, the Dallas Wings, were left answering questions they weren't prepared for. It wasn't just a plot twist, it was a reality check. The time the league MVP got traded the very next season. Imagine winning MVP and getting sent packing. That's what happened to Tina Charles. In 2012, she won the league's top honor with Connecticut. Just 2 years later, she was gone. Traded to the New York Liberty in a deal that shocked the entire league. The twist? Charles was born in Queens. The trade wasn't random, it was strategic. She asked for it. And Connecticut, to everyone's surprise, agreed. Usually MVPs are untouchable, untradeable, cornerstones. But this move proved one thing. In the WNBA, loyalty is optional, and sometimes hometown calls louder than hardware.